Some people stay calm until you ask the right question. Then suddenly, they rush, deflect, and get emotional. Manipulators fear one thing more than anything else: clarity. Most manipulation works in confusion. The moment you slow things down and ask direct questions, the entire power dynamic changes. Not because you became aggressive, but because you stopped being emotionally available for control. The strongest questions are usually the quietest ones, exposing hidden intentions without drama. Once you understand this, you start seeing manipulation everywhere, at work, in relationships, even in casual conversations. Manipulators rarely control people through force. They control people through emotional pressure. They exert pressure to explain yourself, react quickly, feel guilty, and defend your own reality. Most people lose power by responding too fast, often panicking in silence. Once you understand this, you start seeing manipulation everywhere, at work, in relationships, even in casual conversations. Emotionally intelligent people pause before responding, making manipulation visible. Imagine you tell someone you can't help them with something. Maybe it's money, time, or emotional energy. Gasp. You don't need me?
Gasp.
I guess I just matter less to you now. Instead of respecting your boundary, they redirected the conversation toward guilt, making you defend yourself. Now the manipulator controls the emotional direction, but emotionally grounded people do something different. They ask a calm question. The first question manipulators hate is, "What exactly do you mean by that?" This simple, direct, quiet question is powerful because manipulation depends on vague emotional statements. These statements are designed to evoke emotion before clear thought. Asking for clarity forces manipulators to be direct. Now they must explain themselves directly, unable to hide behind emotional fog. Manipulators stumble, backtrack, become irritated, or accuse you of being difficult because you interrupted their emotional momentum. Stopping emotional reactions and observing changes the power dynamic immediately. Confident people don't rush to absorb pressure. Most conversations today are emotional ping-pong, where one person reacts and the other reacts harder. Emotional maturity sounds different. It's calm, asking, "What do you mean by that? Can you explain that more clearly? I want to understand." Manipulators become uncomfortable around awareness because manipulation works best when emotions move faster than thinking. In relationships, manipulators create confusion with indirectness, mixed signals, and subtle accusations. Their goal is to make you emotionally chase clarity, but calm people refuse to chase. They ask direct questions and wait. Waiting matters. Silence reveals people. Confident people are comfortable with silence, while manipulators are not. Manipulators feel the need to fill space quickly to regain emotional control. One calm question can shift the interaction. The second powerful question manipulators hate is, "Why didn't you say that directly?" This exposes passive aggression. Passive aggression is a common manipulation tactic. For example, a coworker might say, "Some people clearly don't care about deadlines." They want you to feel targeted without giving concrete reasons. In relationships, it's, "Must be nice to have so much free time." Indirect pressure, guilt, and criticism provide manipulators protection. Emotional reactions allow manipulators to dismiss you by saying, "You're overthinking," or "You're too sensitive," causing confusion. Confused people are easier to control. But when you calmly ask, "Why didn't you say that directly?" everything changes. Now the hidden message becomes visible, forcing them to communicate honestly or retreat, as direct communication creates accountability. These questions are not aggressive. They remove psychological leverage. Manipulators expect yelling, defensiveness, or begging. Calm observation feels different. It's hard to control an emotionally steady person, especially one who doesn't need immediate approval. Manipulators depend on your fear of discomfort, conflict, awkward silence, and disappointing people. Once you become comfortable with temporary discomfort, manipulation loses power, as they can't emotionally rush you into abandoning yourself. Indirect pressure, guilt, and criticism provide manipulators protection. When manipulators meet someone calm, they become unsettled, not because calm people are physically stronger, but because they are harder to emotionally move. Emotional steadiness creates invisible power, and most people underestimate how powerful emotional control really is. Who controls a conversation? The person reacting emotionally, or the person observing calmly? Usually the calmer person, because emotional control creates mental clarity, allowing you to see patterns others miss. Manipulators avoid specifics, change topics, guilt trip instead of explaining, and create false urgency. Once you stop reacting automatically, these patterns become obvious, leading to the third question manipulators fear most. The question, "Why is this becoming urgent right now?" removes emotional pressure instantly. This question destroys manufactured urgency, one of the oldest manipulation tactics used everywhere. Urgency weakens critical thinking. When rushed, people stop evaluating clearly, which is why they pressure you to decide now, implying if you cared, you'd do it immediately. There's no time to think. Emotional speed becomes the weapon. Calm people slow everything down, asking, "Why is this suddenly urgent? What changed?" Manipulators hate these questions because they interrupt emotional momentum. Pressure becomes visible, and conversation shifts to logic. Logic exposes manipulation quickly. Healthy people respect pauses, while manipulators become frustrated by them. Emotionally healthy communication does not fear clarity, it welcomes it. Healthy people explain themselves clearly and respect boundaries. Manipulators push, rush, blur details, and create urgency where none exists. Emotional growth recognizes these patterns without bitterness. It's not about paranoia or assuming everyone is manipulative. It's about becoming emotionally aware. Aware people don't constantly fight for power. They stop giving their emotional balance away. Sometimes, remaining calm enough to observe is the most powerful thing you can do, as manipulation collapses under observation. That's why silence can feel threatening to manipulative people. Silence creates space for reality to appear. Reality is hard to control. You've probably experienced this before, perhaps someone trying to provoke you. But instead, you stayed calm and they became uncomfortable. That's not an accident. People relying on emotional control become disoriented. When their tactics stop working because they expected access to your emotions, calmness quietly removes that access. This is emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is a powerful form of social intelligence, not loud confidence, dominance, or aggression, but emotional steadiness. The ability to pause before reacting, to ask clear questions, and stay grounded while others become chaotic changes how people treat you. Emotionally reactive people are easier to manipulate. Emotionally grounded people are harder to move. Over time, the quieter your confidence becomes, the less manipulation works on you. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing approval and panicking when conversations become uncomfortable, which changes your entire presence. Emotional growth recognizes these patterns without bitterness. It's not about paranoia or assuming everyone is manipulative. That's real confidence. Real confidence is usually quiet. Manipulators fear these questions because they force honesty. What exactly do you mean by that? Why didn't you say that directly? Why is this suddenly urgent right now? These questions remove emotional smoke, revealing people quickly. Some conversations become healthier, others uncomfortable. Either way, you finally see clearly. Clarity changes everything, because stopping automatic reactions makes you emotionally unpredictable. Emotionally unpredictable people are harder to manipulate. Calm people control themselves, not others, changing every interaction. Next time someone pressures you emotionally, don't rush. Pause. Stay calm. Ask a clear question. Watch carefully what happens next. Sometimes the reaction tells you everything you needed to know. There's a difference between being nice and being emotionally controllable.